Hello everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Universal Neurodiversity, the show where I teach you some of the stuff about Universal and share my experience as a person on the spectrum going on the trip. Last week I gave you an introduction of what the show is about, and I am very excited today because we're talking about vacation planning. But I'm not going in the usual direction. I mean, sure, I'm giving the usual stuff, but I wanted to share a few tips regarding about planning your vacation, and also for families preparing their family members who are on the spectrum or may have many other sensory processing disorders for the trip. Now, I have my notebook here with me, and I have the notes so I can discuss what I want to go through. And first, we're going to talk about what you do before you leave. Yes, I know, you're thinking, Daniel, I already know what to do. Do you? Because a lot goes into vacation planning. I know that because of my experience with my family who always plans the trip every year. Now, the first thing you want to do is figure out when you want to go, because when you want to go will be able to help you navigate through the parks, as well as help family members who may not really enjoy being crowded, but want to see some of the things that might be unique to the park. Take me, for instance. Before the end of 2020, I used to go around the springtime, in around end of April, beginning of May, because the crowd was a little less. But there are times when during the school vacation and many other times during the week of a particular holiday where it will be on peak season, which means it will be very crowded and some of the prices of the stuff will go up. So it's important to know when you want to go. This time, for me, I've started going to the parks starting near either the end of Thanksgiving or this year in the middle of November, because the holiday stuff starts, which is pretty awesome, and I will discuss in another video, but it also is a little less crowded, and if you plan months ahead, you can get something that you want in terms of like reserving, hotels, all of that. Now, speaking of reserving, now that you've figured out what you want to do, it's time to talk about where you want to stay. And I will do a separate video about the hotels that Universal Studios has to offer. But with Epic Universe coming, there's going to be a lot more of that. So that's why I'm saving it for another video. Anyway, there are a couple of hotels that you might want to really consider. The first one is called the Premium Resorts. That's the original 3 Universal Resort that came around the time Islands of Adventure opened, when the Universal Studios Florida was expanded into 2 theme parks and a resort. First, there's the Loews Portofino Bay Hotel, then there's the Hard Rock Hotel, and finally, and one of my personal favorites, Loews Royal Pacific Hotel. All of these hotels have one thing in common. You get free Universal Express Pass Unlimited, which allows you to skip the regular lines and go through a different type of line to the ride that you want. Perfect for people who may not be comfortable waiting for a long period of times in lines, but I highly recommend it. Now, for the rest of the hotels, you do have to pay for the Express Pass Unlimited. However, if you're on a budget but still want to experience some of the amazing stuff at Universal Orlando, here are a lot more of the hotels. First, we have our preferred resort, which is, of course, Loews Sapphire Falls Resort Hotel, a Caribbean-themed hotel, and it is truly beautiful. I recommend that. Now, then there's the Preferred Value Resort, which there are 2 resorts, one of whom I actually stayed in a couple years ago. The first one is Universal's Cabana Bay Beach Resort, a family resort that is inspired by the 1950s and 60s Florida-themed hotels. And then there's the Aventura Hotel, which is a little more modern, but very technologically advanced. Sorry, slipped the tongue. And finally, there's the Value Resort, which consists of 2 hotels, but part of the same theme. They're called Universal Endless Summer Resorts, which features 2 hotels. One is called Surfside, and the other is called Dockside. All of these hotels, including the premium, also offer offer complimentary transportation like universal shuttle, water taxi, even a walking path if you prefer to be a little more active. And it also has early park admission to one of the 2 theme parks or the Universal Water Park, Volcano Bay. But it's important to pick a hotel, not just how cool it looks, but also what will be comfortable for you. Like for me, as much as I love the Aventura Hotel, one of the things I prefer about the Royal Pacific is not just because of the free express pass, but because for me, after a day in the park, you want to come back in. It's very relaxing. The music is not too loud. And on nights when you want to go out and have a nice cup of tea, you can sit inside the courtyard, relax, and take a breather. Also, when it comes to hotel rooms, also make sure you set up a budget for what you want to do, or how many people are going with you. Like, if you have a lot of people going with you, but want to be a little bougie, then do one of the really big suites. There's either king or king suites at any resort. And if you're lucky, some queen-size suites have room designed for kids. Like Portofino Bay Hotel has the Despicable Me suites. And for Lowe's Pacific Resort, that would be the Jurassic World suite. Or if you want something that's really more calming, I definitely recommend, from what I've been told, the Cabana Bay Family Suite, because it comes with everything that you might need, and it's at a good value. But the important thing is to pick the right hotel that is right for you, while thinking of what you want for you, your family, and your pocket size. And that's another thing. One of the most important things I highly recommend is research. Research. And one of the part of the research, of course, is vacation planning. You can either go to Universal's Vacation Planning Center, or, if you're like my family, use a travel agent who will be able to get a good deal for you. I should warn you, some hotels book out in advance, so if you go on a last-minute trip, you might not get the hotel you want. But always be prepared. And another thing you can do for research is using, of course, the Universal Orlando website or the Discover Universal blog, as I had mentioned before, because they have amazing tips on what to do, how to utilize your time. And there's even a really cool article about people who may have sensory overload, and a really good discussion about a sensory room for people like me who need to calm down every once in a while. Another thing that's important in terms of research is going on the Universal app and looking at some of the rides, including height requirements for families, because some rides are not meant for kids this small. And you can also find out which ride has a child swap, so one person can enjoy the ride while the other person watches the child, and then the other person can go on the ride while the person who went on before can go back and sit with the child. But one of the things I find as a person on the spectrum is sometimes the preparation does get me nervous. So there's a couple of tips I want to share. Like, we don't know what the ride may sound or how intense it is. But one of the things I like to do is personally look at ride videos from YouTube, either Universal's YouTube or a park goer's YouTube video. Because it always helps me give an idea of what we're going to do. In fact, I'm going to demonstrate what to do. This is from, of course, Universal's webpage for the Incredible Hulk ride. Pay attention. I am going to put it onto big screen. See? I feel like it helps because it gives you an idea of what to expect and how to prepare for that. Although some rides are mostly motion stimulators, which is pretty good, but for rides like the Incredible Hulk, yeah, you definitely want to be, especially if you or a child on the spectrum is nervous about going on certain rides. I always feel like this is a big game changer. And now I gotta pause this because I don't want to get sued for copyright infringement. Another thing you want to do for be prepared, and I say this especially for parents who has a special needs child, is preparing them for what to expect. And I'm not just talking about going into the parks as well. I'm talking about, like, the travel day, what to do when you check in, all of that. There's a couple of things I recommend. One of them is, of course, the YouTube video about what you do during a flight, so you have a good idea of what to do, like going through security, going through bag check, all that. But another thing I would highly recommend that I've never used before until now is, like, acting out a scenario. And what I mean is, basically, to help your child come up with an idea of, like, a situation in how to prepare for a certain scenario. Like, for example, for me, if I was to talk about going through airport security, one of the things my mom could do is maybe practice with me on what to do so I can practice the motion and then I come through. But another thing I want to say is a lot of disabilities are not just invisible, but also visible as well. So if you have a person who needs assistive devices or use of a mobility device, please contact your local airport on some of the programs they might have and for anything you might have in terms of accessibility. Now, another important thing to know is to download the Universal app. Seriously, because they stopped doing the paper ones, and the Universal app is really helpful for when you want to prepare. And not just about ride wait times or what time shows are, but also come with the idea to get a layout of the parks and the sort of destination thing, which means the water taxi, the shuttle, or the walking path, which is my personal favorite. But there's also, especially if anyone in your family or your child has a dietary restriction, Universal also lists a bunch of the restaurant and have the menus inside each of the restaurant info page. So if your child has celiac or is very gluten intolerant, you can go on the menu of a particular restaurant and you can look and it'll tell you what is gluten-free, what is vegetarian, what is vegan. Perfect for if you don't want to take a long time ordering a food. And there's also something called the Universal Pay, which you could prepare for, which is a part of the Universal app where you just put your form of payment on the Universal app, and then you use it, and they'll scan it, and it'll pay for all the stuff that you want to. But it's also important to research some of the benefits that Universal Studios Orlando has to offer. I can't recommend this highly enough, because it's very important to be in the know if you want to go. However, that doesn't mean you're an expert when you do that. Trust me, I know. I've been going there for 7 years, and I'm still learning a lot about stuff I have never known before about Universal. And it's perfect, really. Hold on, where's my consultant notes? There we go. And that's the research. And now, there is one thing I forgot to mention. It's important, after you choose when you are going, it's important to keep checking on the weather in Orlando, Florida, because Florida weather, like certain other parts of the world, including New England, is very unpredictable. So keep looking at it, and if it's looking like it's really hot, you pack the usual. Shorts, t-shirts, tank tops, etc. Now, Florida does experience some cold snaps. I learned that last year, and I came prepared. So, I packed pants, socks, a couple of sweatshirts, a couple of t-shirts, and that sort of thing. Now, parents, this is a very important note. Sometimes a child who has a sensory processing disorder may get overwhelmed. I know you know that because you're the parents. But there are some things that you don't go without when you go packing, which is what I'm talking about. Now, aside from the clothing, and of course the poncho in case it rains, and there are a couple of other things you want to do, like maybe a sensory toy, like this. Hey, it's not a stress ball, but it's a little fidget toy, which has the little top, buttons, the little clicky thing right here, my personal favorite, this little button right here. And if your child gets overwhelmed by loud sounds, headphones are your best friends. And I'm not talking about the ones you use when you saw down a tree. Okay, maybe that too, but I was thinking maybe something like this. So if your child wants to tune out and listen to music, they can, but also wear this in case they really get overwhelmed, because the parks can get a little loud sometimes. I mean, I've never had a problem with it before, but seriously, you might want to keep that in record. And that goes for all you adults who have autism or many other sensory processing disorders. Your headphones and sensory toys are your best friend, especially when you get nervous when you go on travel days. Now, as I mentioned before, when you pack, make sure you keep track of the weather, because it's important to know what to pack and when to pack it. I don't usually do a checked bag because I do carry-on and the little bag that goes with me. But for those who do all of these things, you need to get the basics, like a poncho in case if it rains, some pants or shorts. Like I said, depending on where you go, it could be either hot or cold, or in the middle. Cold, t-shirt, pajamas, lots of underwear. And for the grown-ups in the room, what's it called? Not a cleaning kit, it's a toiletry kit. You know, like disposable razors that can be safely in the carry-on, shaving cream, deodorant, because no one wants to really stink in the theme park, do they? Toothbrush, toothpaste, which is on my most important list. And if you have certain medications, use old medication bottles of the prescription you have, because it will have to go through airport security, so you can be safe. And when you're done with the medication, get rid of the empty bottles on the day you check out. Now, another thing you want to consider when packing is what to bring that it may not seem important to others, but may seem important to you. Like, you definitely want to pack a little lanyard if you are a universal aficionado for your express pass and your park ticket. You're also going to want to pack a phone charger, because some of the stuff you need is on your phone. And one of the things that I can't get enough of, and this is me, because sometimes I am on my phone too much, is a portable charger, which you will have to take out when they do scanning through either the TSA line or the security area before you go into the parks. But you'll need your phone with you at all times, so keep a portable charger, whether it's a snap-on or a plug-in. I can't emphasize that enough, because it is very important to have that on you in case something were to happen. Another important thing that has happened in recent years with my family is coming up with a plan. Aside from studying the layout of the Universal parks, one of the things you want to do is have a plan in case you and your party get separated or want to do something. Always have a particular meeting spot. Like for my parents, if we're in Universal Studios Florida, it's going to be Mel's Diner. I'm going to explain more about this, about each park as I go. But we also come up with an idea about keeping in touch through text should one of us something happen. So that way we can be prepared for anything that is possible. And to be honest, it has worked for me for the past 2 years. And it's also good to come up with some ideas in case you get overstimulated. Like for me, there are times where I do get overexcited to the point that I forget to think. But one of the things I did this year, in case I got overwhelmed, was I did a couple of deep breathing exercises, like this. It helps you calm your body and your head, so you're not going all over the place. Most importantly, especially, is a lot of sunblock, because in Florida, it is usually sunny, so in case it gets super hot, or you want to protect your face, sunblock is your friend, and it works every time. And also, don't forget to bring a hat and sunglasses to keep yourself shielded from the sun. It's very good if you want to protect yourself. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for now. But however you plan it, I know you're going to have a great trip. And like I said, I highly recommend you download the Universal Orlando app, which is very free. check on the Universal website, the Discover Universal blog, as well as many other influencers who are huge Universal experts. Probably won't be doing an episode because next week is the holidays, but if I see you in 2025, I can't wait to discuss Travel Day, as well as checking in to the resorts. Remember, love may be universal, but universal is neurodiverse. Have a very happy holiday, and go Universal!